As mentioned before, the city-states might have been separate, but they had the same beliefs. Greek mythology can be very confusing, with the primordial gods such as Chaos, Cronus and Gaia, then the titans such as Cronus, Rhea and Oceanus, followed by the Olympian gods. There were also hundreds of other gods, spirits, immortals and mythological creatures. We will just be focusing on the Olympian gods and goddesses. Just like the Egyptians, the Greeks came up with gods and goddesses to explain things they didn't understand. They believed that the gods and goddesses controlled their lives. Any skills or talents they had were given to them by the gods, and if they angered them, could be taken away. So, they would often give offerings or sacrifices to different gods to keep them happy. They built temples for the various gods and goddesses, and each city-state would usually have their favorite god. Important families would also try to claim that they were descended from different gods as well, to make them powerful. According to mythology, most of the important gods and goddesses lived at the top of Mount Olympus. There were usually 12 Olympian gods that were followed. However, the gods might change depending on the city-state. Zeus was king of the Olympian gods. He was also the god of the sky and thunder. He was the most powerful of the Olympian gods. If people made him angry, he would often turn them into animals. Hera was the wife of Zeus, and queen of the Olympian gods. She was the goddess of women, marriage and childbirth. Both Hera and Zeus lived on Mount Olympus, ruling together. Poseidon, god of the sea, earthquakes and horses, was the brother of Zeus. Preferred to live in his palace under the sea rather than on Mount Olympus. Competed with Athena to be the main god of Athens, but lost. Apollo, god of music and poetry, was the twin brother of Artemis. Had the power to heal people. His lyre was created for him by Hermes. Lived on Mount Olympus. Artemis, goddess of the hunt, twin sister of Apollo, lived on Mount Olympus. Usually pictured holding a bow and arrow. She had perfect aim and could turn herself, or others, into an animal. Hermes' main job was as messenger of the gods, but was also the god of travel and thieves. He was able to travel everywhere very quickly due to his winged sandals. Carried a special wand called a caduceus. Lived on Mount Olympus. Athena, goddess of wisdom and courage. She was the patron goddess of Athens. Lived on Mount Olympus. She would often show up in Greek myths helping the heroes on their adventures. Ares, god of war. He was known for being very cruel and no one really liked him, even his parents. Was a skilled fighter in battles and usually shown holding a shield and spear. Lived on Mount Olympus. Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty. Lived on Mount Olympus. According to one myth, she was born by floating up on a shell in the sea near Paphos, Cyprus. She was married to the god Hephaestus. Demeter, goddess of the harvest. She lived on Mount Olympus. She was extremely important to the Greeks, because if they didn't keep her happy, then they wouldn't be able to grow any food. Hephaestus, god of fire and the forge. Lived on Mount Olympus. Was known as a kind and peaceful god, even though he created the weapons used by the other Olympians. Hades, god of the underworld. Brother of Zeus and Poseidon. Lived in a palace in the underworld. Could become invisible. Had a three-headed dog that guarded the underworld, called Cerberus. Hestia, goddess of the hearth. Lived on Mount Olympus. Oldest of the Olympian gods. According to some myths, she got fed up with the gods arguing all the time and decided to give up her place as one of the main 12 Olympian gods to Dionysus. Dionysus, god of wine, parties and the theatre, was the only Olympian god with a mortal parent, his mother, Semele. Most ancient Greek plays were written to be performed during a yearly festival to Dionysus.